You're tuned into Ronversations, the podcast where real talk meets real change, straight from the heart of Santa Fe. I am your host, Ronald Trujillo, candidate for mayor in the 2025 Santa Fe election. Ronversation dives into issues that matter most to our community, from public safety to affordable housing, local jobs to transparent government, and everything in between. No scripts, no spin, just honest dialogue and bold ideas for a resilient Santa Fe. This is a space for open conversation, real solutions, and a shared vision for our city's future. Glad you're here. Let's talk. Buenos dias, Santa Fe, and welcome to Ronversations. I'm your host, Ron Trujillo, mayoral candidate for Santa Fe, and today I'm honored to have Bernalillo County District Attorney, Mr. Sam Bregman, who, as we all know, is a candidate for the governor of the state of New Mexico, Democrat. Sam, thank you for being on Ronversations.
Of course.
We go back a long way.
Yes, we do.
Back to the days of the good guy in the black hat.
And I didn't have any gray hair back then.
Neither did I.
Now I wear the hat just to cover all those grays up. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you as well. We ran into each other at the legislature this year, had a few discussions. Sam, can you give the viewers just a little bit about your background?
Certainly. So I've been in Albuquerque my entire adult life. I love Albuquerque, love New Mexico. I raised a wonderful family here with 3 kids. I now have 3 grandkids, one a week ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I didn't do much work for that, but no, it's awesome. And, New Mexico is a wonderful place, and the best thing about it is the people. And I love this place, and I want to continue to serve the public, and so that's why I've announced for governor. But we've been doing great things here at the DA's office. I'm really proud of. You go back far enough, I served on the city council. I did run for a couple of offices in the past, but I truly believe that being a public servant means getting out and helping people for the better of their lives, right?
Most definitely.
And that's what I've been focused on, and had a great private career. And now doing, I used to say my favorite job was being a DA back in the day. Now my favorite job is being the DA. But I know I can do a lot of good things, and a lot of good things for the future too. So that's what this is all about.
That's great. Well, let's just dive in right away. Sam, you've done a lot of things here in Albuquerque. You've been on both sides of the fence.
Sure.
So that's a great thing. You bring a lot to the table. I'm seeing crime in Santa Fe. As a former city councilor there, we had crime, but it's just gotten rampant, it seems like, in the city of Santa Fe. We've had more murders than we've had in many, many years, and that's a shame because Santa Fe is just not like that. It's not the Santa Fe that I grew up in. And what I see you've always been tough on crime.
Yeah, and I tell you, it's something, when you talk about quality of life for people, you never have a quality of life if they're waking up in a neighborhood or in a community and they don't feel safe. One thing, they've got to be safe, but it's also they got to feel safe, right?
Exactly.
They got to feel like law enforcement's out there in the numbers that needs to be. That things are, that when there is crime, it's something that's unique, not something that's happening every day in their neighborhood. And we have to do everything we can, because at the end of the day, it's probably the single biggest driver of your quality of life. You got to wake up in the morning and feel like your kids are safe. You're safe there in the house. Your kids are safe when they go to school. Your husband or your wife is safe when they go to work, and when everybody comes home, they're safe again that evening.
Exactly.
That's the number one priority.
And that's the thing that I want to be able to bring to the city of Santa Fe. Our citizens know, under a Trujillo administration, you are safe. We're going to have the numbers of police officers out there. We want to have our police officers patrolling everywhere in Santa Fe. But it just seems, when you get into the realm of district attorney, I'll give you an example we had in Santa Fe. You might remember when the obelisk was torn down. Unfortunately, I feel that our district attorney then, restorative justice, it was a slap on the wrist. These people committed a crime, and they got away with it. And I think that's what we keep on seeing happening with our courts. People just are going through a revolving door, and I think the people of New Mexico and the people of Santa Fe feel that way.
Well, I will tell you this. I'm not going to comment on any particular case that your district attorney up there is handling. I don't think it's appropriate.
No,
I'm certainly not going to second guess
not a problem.
Any decision that she's made one way or the other. But overall, when it comes to crime, I think the fundamental issue is, Are we holding people accountable, right? And that's really, really important, because if we're not holding them accountable, when you and I grew up, we didn't get in trouble because we were scared to go to jail.
Tell you darn right.
There are a lot of people, unfortunately, on the streets of Albuquerque, for example, that are not afraid of going to jail because they may get out the next day anyways. We have so many issues to tackle, but when we're number one in crime, that is unacceptable. And we can never, as a state, never as a people, the people of New Mexico can never be complacent and say, well, that's just the way it is. No, I say BS to that. I say absolutely not. We can do so much better. We should be one of the safest communities in the entire country, not one of the most dangerous. And that really bothers me. Now, we've been doing a lot here in Bernalillo County in this district attorney's office that is making a difference. We've convicted, by the way, in 2 years, and this is a sobering number, over 300 people of murder. That's a lot of people. But those people aren't out in the community anymore harming anybody else. We have held more people pretrial detention than in the history of this office. We've held more people because we've filed the motions necessary. And the fact is, if you are so dangerous and based on the crime you commit or based on your past history, based on a combination of it, the community can't be safe with you out in there, then we have to make sure we're holding them in custody until their trial. We can do a lot of things better too. One of the things we're seeing here, we just started a brand new operation, Route 66. It's taking care of the international district, which is a real problem up here. And I think we can all learn, all different communities, about when we bring law enforcement together, working together. We have the state police, Bernalillo County Sheriff's Department of Probation and Parole, all coming together to work on the specific issue of that area and the fact that there's far too much crime. It's not fair to the businesses. It's not fair to the residents that live there. We're cracking down in 2 months. And I told this to the media when we announced the operation. We announced it when we started it. You check back with us in 45 days and you see how we're doing. We're now 2 months into it. After 45 days, the media went back out. I'm really thrilled by this. They asked businesses, is it getting better? And they said, yes, it is. And it's not necessarily, we have a full-time prosecutor dedicated to all those cases. It's not necessarily this office that's doing it, but our special agents together with state police, BCSO, and probation and parole are out there holding people accountable, doing their job. Their presence is felt out there. They've made 500 arrests.
Wow.
In 2 months. They've taken 40 guns off the street, over 30 stolen cars off the street, over 33,000 fentanyl pills off the street, a lot of meth. I mean, they're doing things, and now people are starting to feel safer. We still have a terrible homeless problem in the international district, which we need to deal with, and they often are victims of the most serious crime out there as well. But we have a lot to do. But it's getting law enforcement to work together, and I think everybody knows we need to get more cops on the streets.
You bring up a good point right there. When you said collaboration, that's one of the biggest things on my campaign is collaborating with the county, with the schools, and with the state.
It's the entire community.
Yeah, this is the thing that I've said. The city falls under the county falls under the state. We all get this sum of money allocated to us. How can we better use it together to make better things? Like you just mentioned that. So how are you working with the city of Albuquerque? How has your office been working with them?
By doing this Route 66 operation with state police and BCSO and probation and parole, and flooding that area with cops, we were able to free up APD to focus on the west side of Central.
Okay.
It's making a big difference out there too. And there's just an example. When I first got this job as DA, I filled this very conference room with people from all over law enforcement, from all the leaders, chiefs of police that are in this district, our federal law enforcement partners, and we all committed to actually working together every single day. And we talk to each other all the time because we want to coordinate things. It's not just deconfliction for law enforcement. It's important that what are we doing now? What are we doing a month from now? What's the plan 6 months from now? How are we helping people? I'll give you another example. Shoplifting. Shoplifting was a real problem in Albuquerque a year ago. It's still a problem, but it's not the problem it was, and that's because we took a focus on it. This office is now prosecuting shoplifting misdemeanor cases because it's just too much of it. And now we've got more and more retailers reporting shoplifting instead of just saying, well, no one's going to do anything about it, so we won't even report it. Now we're using the laws that came into existence a couple of years ago to actually hammer shoplifters who are, it's organized retail crime in many instances. They're working for a fence who's fencing the products. And now we're all coming together and making a difference and putting people away for years and years and years for multiple shoplifters. So we can work together and get it done.
Most definitely. So let me ask you this. So you being the district attorney, you talk to the sheriff. Does the sheriff also talk to you guys? When you talked about your meetings you're having with law enforcement, are you're having meetings with the city and the county sheriffs?
I talk to the chief of police once a week. I talk to the sheriff once or twice a week. When I talk to the sheriff the second time, it's because he's a Dallas Cowboys fan and I'm not. So I have to rub things in when his team loses. But in all seriousness, no. I talk to the state police chief. I talk to the secretary of DPS. I also happen to be the chairman of the Organized Crime Commission, and we work together with a lot of law enforcement agencies across the state.
Yeah. Well, that's great because, like I said, that's what I want to do. Is when I have that collaboration, talking to the county, the state, the schools, yes. I want to be able to bring the state police chief. I'd like to bring our sheriffs, our police chiefs together so we can have these discussions on what is affecting Santa Fe, how we can better do the job, and also bring in our DA from Santa Fe as well.
Yes, all those are extremely important components, and everybody has to be working together. That's where I think we found some success here in Albuquerque, is because we are working together. We understand it's all about the community. And I know my number one priority as district attorney is the safety of this community. And the sheriff knows that, and he feels the same way. And that's our job. And that's what we strive to do every single day.
And I feel the same way as a mayor. Mayor, your job is, to create a community for everyone in Santa Fe, right. Something that people are proud of and people feel safe. And you were mentioning too homelessness. We in Santa Fe, we do have a big issue with homelessness. I know that the city council has passed a few laws about loitering on curbs, that they can't do that. But again, too, with you guys here in Bernalillo County, are you guys prosecuting, people, dealing with the homeless?
We don't prosecute people just because they're homeless.
Of course, no, not like that.
We don't prosecute in that sense. But we are working more and more to clean up the streets of the International District where our biggest homeless issue is. And I will tell you, my number one concern, I've said, is holding people accountable, especially holding violent people accountable. Some of the biggest victims of violent crime are homeless. They are the victims, and so we owe it to them. We owe it to the entire community, but we owe it to them as well to try and get them off the streets and get them into something that's much more, functioning for everyday life, right? This is a real problem that I think we need to expand things. I'm trying to stay in my lane as DA.
Yes.
And I'll take my DA hat off for a second and put my candidate hat on for governor, if you will, just for a second. People just can't violate the law for the sake of violating the law. It's a misdemeanor if you're camping out there, a city ordinance. If you're camping out there on a right-of-way of the city, a sidewalk, a street, first of all, it's dangerous in all kinds of ways. But it's also not right. And there's a reason those ordinances are in place. We don't want people doing that. It takes away from the sense of community there. The people that live there and live there for generations, they don't want to open up their front door and see on their front sidewalk a homeless encampment. That's not fair to them. We're the businesses that thrive or try to thrive in that area. So what we have to do is make sure we're getting them, the homeless, when I say them, the homeless, all the wraparound services we can. Mental health, addiction help, food, medical care, in every form of medical care. And eventually move them into a situation where they can get housing, where they can get reasonable housing that they're able to live in. And we have not done a good job at that coordinating. We have so many good people who are working on these issues, but we have failed short in this city, in Albuquerque, on that very important issue. And I think the biggest thing we can all do is start mastering who and where are our resources when it comes to homelessness, and start coordinating a much better effort, find them housing, and eventually find them a
The
job.
job, exactly.
Give them back their dignity and the things that they all want, right?
Yes.
We can do that as a community. We can lift people up. We just don't have to accept it.
Exactly. Well, you know, in Santa Fe, they've started this where they want to put pallet homes in different parts of the city. And me and Amber have gone to a lot of those meetings. And the thing that they didn't want to discuss, and I told them, you know, the elephant in the room isn't the pallet homes. The elephant in the room is NIMBYism, not in my backyard. You know, that's the whole thing. We have to get the buy-in of those parts of the city where they want to put these pallet homes, so that, you know, people feel safe at the same time. But at the same time too, yes, we do want to help our homeless. We want to make sure they have a place to stay. We want them back on their feet, as you said, and, you know, productive citizens of the city with jobs.
Absolutely. And it's not unique to Santa Fe. It's not unique to Albuquerque. It's a statewide issue.
Most
And
definitely.
we need to actually all come together, figure out what's going on, and get people the help they need, and also remind them they can't violate the law or the norms of our society. And that means getting them the help they need, but at the end of the day, saying, if you don't go get help, eventually you are going to be arrested for violating the law. It's that simple.
And my thing with in Santa Fe is, I want to be able to give our police everything they need.
Yeah.
You know, I want them to be able to protect our citizens, protect the community. And when I was on the city council, I was one of the biggest advocates for our police. You know, they wanted it. Hey, guys, you know, let's get it for them. You know, that to me, you know, public safety, be it fire, be it, you know, police, in my opinion, is always, that's the most important, you know, that a city can give to its community.
I think you'll agree with me when I say this, that the hardest single job in America is being a cop. You have to de-escalate all the time in one moment, and then a split second later, you have to be willing to lay your life on the line.
It's the truth.
And I think everybody agrees they don't get paid enough for that job, but I don't think every cop does it because they're paid, because they want to serve.
No.
They want to serve the people that they're in their communities. It's a darn hard job. And the thing I think we can do most is obviously always pay them every penny we can that makes sense on a fiscal reality. But at the same time, we have to appreciate it.
Most definitely.
I never pass up an opportunity to thank every law enforcement officer.
No, one of the issues we've had in Santa Fe for years has been, you know, the housing, you know, for our police officers, the schooling as well. A lot of our officers that work in Santa Fe, they travel back home here, either Albuquerque or Rio Rancho. And that's one of the biggest issues we've had in Santa Fe is retaining, you know, yes, we have our officers, but we want them living here. We want them living in the neighborhoods. When I was a little kid, we had 3 police officers living on our street. So we felt safe. It does. It does.
Just seeing the police car out in front of the house makes a difference.
Yeah, it does. Well, Sam, you know, I very much appreciate, you know, this conversation we've had. As always,
some more of it.
Most definitely. And again, thank you for spending, you know, a few minutes with me.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate you.
Good luck on the campaign.
Best of luck to you as well.
Thank you.
Santa Fe. Till we meet again.